All right, let's talk about something that drives every founder, every salesperson absolutely crazy. You've got this amazing deal, it's promising, everything's looking good, and then, poof, it just dies. Today, we're going to crack open a powerful framework from MIT that shows you exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to stop it. So here's the game plan. First, we'll get real about why selling is way more complicated than it looks. Then I'll introduce you to your new best friend, the decision-making unit. We'll break down all the key players you need to know, and then I'll give you a practical guide on how to actually map this all out for your customers. And finally, we'll talk about why this is so much bigger than just closing one deal. Okay, let's dive right in with a problem that I'm sure is painfully familiar. It's that deal that just vanished into thin air. Seriously, have you been there? You've got a fantastic contact inside a company. They totally love your product. The demos are going great. Everything is green lights. And then, radio silence. The deal just hits a wall, and you're sitting there scratching your head, wondering what on earth went wrong. It's so frustrating. But you know what? There's almost always a reason. And this right here, this quote, gets to the absolute heart of it. The problem is, you think you're selling to a person, but you're not. You're actually selling to a complex, invisible committee, and you have to convince almost all of them. So how in the world do you navigate this invisible group of decision makers? Well, that's where this professional framework comes in. It's called the decision-making unit. The decision-making unit, or DMU for short, is really just a fancy term for all the people inside your customer's company who have a hand in the decision to buy your product. And your job, as a savvy entrepreneur or salesperson, is to figure out who every single one of them is. And this is so important. The DMU is not just a sales tool you pull out at the last minute. Oh no. Understanding this group is absolutely fundamental to your entire strategy, right from day one of product development. All right, so who are these people? Who's actually in this decision-making unit? Let's meet the cast of characters. Let's start with the big three. These are the three primary roles you absolutely have to identify in any deal. You've got the champion, the end user, and the primary economic buyer. Honestly, if you don't know who these three people are, you are flying completely blind. First up, you have the champion. Think of this person as your internal sales rep, your advocate when you're not in the room. Then you have the end user. This is the person who's actually going to be hands-on with your product every day. Now, sometimes they're the same person, which is great, but a lot of the time, they're not. And then there's the big one, the primary economic buyer. This is the person who holds the purse strings. They control the budget, they have the final authority to actually spend the money. You can have the best product in the world and a dozen champions, but if you don't convince this person, the deal is dead. Simple as that. Let's make this a little more real. Check out this example for a data center solution. You see the data center manager? He's the champion, he's worried about his power bill. But look over here, the CIO is the economic buyer, and their concerns are totally different. Overall budget, uptime. And then you've got finance, who can just kill the whole thing with veto power over cost. You can see how this gets tangled really fast. And it doesn't stop there. You've also got influencers. These are the trusted experts whose opinion carries huge weight. And then there are people with veto power. These folks from IT, or legal, or HR, can torpedo a deal for reasons that have nothing to do with your product, but everything to do with their rules. Okay, so the theory is great, but how do you actually go about uncovering all these people? Let's get practical and look at the toolkit you need to map out your customer. First, and this is maybe the most important thing, you have to shift your entire mindset. For this part of the process, you are not a salesperson. You are a detective. Your goal isn't to pitch, it's to listen, to ask smart questions, and to gather intelligence. It can all start with a really simple, non-threatening question like this one. You just ask your main contact, hey, who besides you would need to be involved in a decision like this? Then you start to dig a little deeper. Who do you think will have the most influence on this decision? And just as important, is there anyone who could stop this from happening? These questions are your key to finding those powerful influencers and potential veto players. And here it is, the million-dollar question. Whose budget would the money for this come from? This question is a heat-seeking missile that will take you directly to the primary economic buyer. Now here's a pro-level tip. Ask, who might feel threatened by this change, and how do you think they'll react? Look, every new product threatens someone's status quo. If you can identify those internal pockets of resistance early, you can get ahead of their concerns before they kill your deal. So you might be thinking, wow, this sounds like a lot of work. And you're right, it is. But here's why it's so incredibly worth it. This is about so much more than just one sale. It's about building a scalable, repeatable engine for growth. See, when you start mapping the DMU across lots of customers, something magical happens. You start to see patterns. You can share this intel with your whole team. It validates whether you're even in the right market. And you get amazing feedback that lets you pivot and refine your strategy way faster. And here's the ultimate test. Think of it as a big red flag. If you talk to 10 different potential customers and you get 10 completely different DMU maps, you've got a problem. It's a huge sign that your market isn't focused enough. Or worse, you're talking to the wrong people altogether. So at the end of the day, selling to a business is not about finding one person to say yes. It's about playing chess, not checkers. It's about understanding the entire complex web of people who make up the decision-making unit. Once you have that map, you have the key to navigate any organization and turn those frustrating stalled deals into repeatable, predictable wins.